Intriguing, isn't it? Tonight is a celebration of villainy. It's a countdown of 20 first-time offenders in an era known to birth Marvel's greatest heroes, the 1960s. But a hero is nothing without a great villain. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Pop Culture Cosmonaut. I want you to like, comment, and subscribe, and put your plans in motion. Yeah, we're gonna start with number 20 on the list, and this one is the Squadron Sinister. I bet that one came out of left field, didn't it? Yeah, and they debut in the Mighty Avengers 69, which came out in September of 1969, and on the cover you see it's Kang the Conqueror and the Growing Man doing battle with the Avengers. The Squadron Sinister actually debut on the very last panel of this issue, and this literal cliffhanger leads us directly into Avengers 70. And on this magnificent cover right here, we see the Squadron Sinister on equal footing as the Avengers here. Hyperion taking on Goliath. That's Clint Barton, Hawkeye as Goliath. Wizard versus Thor. How's that going to work? Dr. Spectrum taking on Iron Man, and Nighthawk as Captain America. Now, they were created as pastiches, or analogs as they're called, of the Justice League members that we all know clear as day. And in this issue, Kang is angry. He's not happy with his chicken and Kool-Aid. Anyways, he has enlisted the Avengers to fight as his champions to do battle with the Grandmaster, who has selected the Squadron Sinister to fight on his behalf. All right, so pretty interesting introduction into the Marvel Universe for these guys. But we see the Squadron Sinister reappear much later in Avengers, as well as the Defenders. Eventually they become the Squadron Supreme, and eventually they become good guys, of course. And we know them famously from their miniseries in the mid-'80s, Magnificent series, 12-parter, and Death of a Universe, another pretty epic tale here. So villains with an asterisk, all right, but they still had a pretty impressive debut and impact on the Marvel Universe. That's why they're on the list, ladies and gentlemen. All right, but we're going to move on to number 19, and it is the Red Ghost. Yeah, and this happened. He debuted in Fantastic Four 13. This is a very old villain, January of 1963. And the Fantastic Four, they got a mystery on the moon. And we see Earth in the background here as they walk around without spacesuits or helmets. You can't read all the text on these old Marvel covers. They're just inundated with lettering here. But I like the effect of his invisible hand in the foreground. But yeah, on the inside we see that Ivan Kragov, this Russian scientist, has trained a gorilla, to operate a spaceship. He's got a baboon as well as an orangutan. He wants to blast himself into space just like the Fantastic Four did, and he's bringing his 3 apes with him. So as he gets bombarded with cosmic rays as well, all right, so do his apes, who have now become super apes. Miklo, the gorilla, now has super strength. Igor, the baboon, is now a changeling, and Pyotr, the orangutan, has magnetic powers. Inspired creation here. By the way, you notice the Red Ghost wears green in this debut of his. That's a bit confusing. But on the moon, we see some impressive artwork, Kirby stuff, man. And eventually they come into contact with the Watcher, who makes his very first appearance. Uatu! Hey, Uatu, man, I feel like throwing a birthday. It's almost like a birthday party. What's up, man? This is nostalgic memories for Uatu. And the invisibility and intangibility powers of the Ghost, making him a pretty tough adversary to deal with. All right, by the way, did you know that he was set to appear in Fantastic Four First Steps, played by John Malkovich? All right, but that got cut for some reason. If he had that beard and mustache, he would have looked a bit like Santa Claus. Don't know if that would have worked, but it would have been interesting. I'll say that for damn sure. And of course, the Red Ghost is never gone forever. He comes back to do battle with other Marvel heroes later on in his years. Yes, and we're going to go on to the next one. This is number 18. It's another favorite of this channel, the Titanium Man. All right, Boris Bulski debuting in Tales of Suspense 69, and this happened all the way back in June of 1965. Jack Kirby did his portion of this cover. I believe that the Captain America Bucky portion here was done by Don Heck. All right, but if I must die, let it be with honor, as this huge hulking armored figure, the Titanium Man, is introduced. And this is on a big screen, as you can see. Spectators, including Happy Hogan and Peppa Potts, viewing this on pay-per-view. And this debut was set up, man. I covered this epic battle, this three-parter, on this channel before. It's a fantastic tale. I love it. But Boris Bulski is introduced as a commissar of the Soviet government. He's a giant of a man, and he rules with an iron fist. And he wants to make an impact, and he enlists the scientists at this gulag to build him an armored suit superior to the Crimson Dynamo, and of course, Iron Man. And as they do, this huge suit of armor that would be too big for anybody else to operate, Boris Bulski has got the power to do it. Okay, and he plans to do Tony Stark and Iron Man in. All right, and it's a fantastic tale. It's a great debut of an enemy worthy of Iron Man, for damn sure. He needs to be in the movies one of these days. Yeah. All right, next on the list, we've got the Wrecker. All right, who appears for the first time in Thor 148. And this happens in November of 1967. Hey, Jack Kirby done did it again. And the dreaded Vince Colletta on inks. And I think he did a damn good job on this cover. Look at the crumbling buildings in the background. Look at the Kirby crackle around the enchanted crowbar of the Wrecker here. And it's Lady Sif and Balder the Brave flanking Thor as they try to deal with the pounding power of the Wrecker. I love this cover. All right, and the Wrecker's debut is an interesting one. He's a regular cat burglar, pretty much, a bit more of a clumsy one, but he's already wearing what would become his costume as he scales this wall. He happens upon Loki, all right, and Loki's unprepared, and he gets knocked out by the crowbar of the Wrecker here. And he picks up Loki's helmet here, puts it on his head, as the Norn Queen Karnilla magically enters. Mistaking him for Loki, she enchants him with power, the power of the gods. And he is forever transformed. All right, big mistake by Karnilla. All right, and later on with his enchanted crowbar, he faces off with the mighty Thor in titanic battle. Of course, the Wrecker debuts his buddies much later on, years later, the Wrecking Crew. All right, unforgettable villains that end up facing off with almost every hero at some point. I love the Wrecker, man. Great character. All right, we're going to move on to the next one, and this is the Sandman. All right, in Amazing Spider-Man number 4. Yeah, and this is going all the way back to June of 1963. All right, William Baker, aka Flint Marko, career criminal. And on this cover, it's a very unusual one. It's 4 panels showing the powers of the Sandman. A lot of word bubbles, I guess, unnecessary stuff, and at the bottom, a lot of text. I'm actually not a big fan of this cover. It does show the power of the Sandman, very interesting in that way. But to me, it breaks a lot of the rules of cover art. But regardless of that, on the inside, we see the very beginning here, nothing can stop the Sandman. And interesting motivations for this man. He ends up running into a school here wanting to get his diploma, and threatening the principal here, Spider-Man coming in to save the day. But doing battle with the Sandman for the first time, realizing that typical approaches aren't going to work. So with these tools at his disposal, he tricks the Sandman into getting sucked into the vacuum cleaner here. And that's all she wrote. But of course, the Sandman is never done. He's a big-time villain. He's a member of the Frightful Four. He also fights the Hulk at times. He can't be stopped so easily. He was in the movies before, in that Spider-Man 3, I believe, and they did him justice. He doesn't need a costume. All he needs is his t-shirt, man. I love the Sandman. Fantastic villain. Yes. All right, the next entry here, it's a 2-for-1. All right, this is the Enchantress and the Executioner, who debut in Journey into Mystery 103 before it became the Mighty Thor. And this is a fantastic cover. I love this one. It's so memorable and distinctive, as the Rainbow Bridge is the setting for this battle between a masked, helmeted executioner and the tempting Enchantress here. And on the inside of this, we see the introduction of the Enchantress. It's Loki enlisting her feminine wiles. All right, trying to use her Jezebel spirit to succor Dr. Donald Blake, Thor's alter ego. But it ain't going down so easily. All right, he resists her temptations, and in frustration, she decides to get some muscle to back her up. And there steps in Scourge, the Executioner. All right, and in this issue, during battle, at some point, Executioner tries to pick up the hammer of Thor, and he fails to do so. Interesting foes for Thor and others in the Marvel Universe as well. They join the Masters of Evil. They're no joke. Yeah. Alrighty then. The next one we're going to talk about is Dr. Octopus, Doc Ock, Otto Octavius. And he debuts in Amazing Spider-Man number 3. This is another Steve Ditko special. Alright. And another text-heavy cover. Marvel covers of the 60s just couldn't resist, could they? All right, and the cloaked in shadow Dr. Octopus here, holding a helpless Spider-Man. Steve Ditko, legendary artist in name, but yeah, not a big fan of this cover. But on the inside, the splash page, this is a pretty impressive introduction. We see that in an atomic research center, Dr. Octavius is using these tentacles, these arms, for handling radioactive material safely. But another mishap in the lab results in this device getting fused to him. And he uses this new ability, I guess, to commit crime after crime after crime. Later on, of course, he fights Daredevil at some point, but usually Spider-Man is his main target, even becoming the superior Spider-Man in relatively recent years. All right, the next one on the list, we're at number 13. This is the leader, Samuel Starnes, all right, who debuts in Tales to Astonish 62, 63 for real, but he's not on the cover yet. And he explains his origin, how he became the leader here. He's a regular laborer, a janitor, in a gamma ray explosion. And in the next issue, we see him debut on Tales to Astonish 64, this time with a humanoid horde. Now, throughout the first few issues of his debut, he doesn't encounter the Hulk directly, but his humanoids have cameras that he watches their POV from afar. So there's so many panels of the leader basically just watching the screen. I love it, man. This is such a unique way to show him observing the Hulk for the first time in this unique manner. All right, so I think that's a pretty cool ass debut. The leader's a cool villain, man, and I covered him in his own dedicated video, his origin and his cover history. All right, and the next one is the debut of Kraven the Hunter, which happens in Amazing Spider-Man 15. All right, and this one is back in May of 1964. It's a Steve Ditko cover here. Kraven the Hunter has netted up Spider-Man, and it's also got the special guest star of the Chameleon, who appeared in Amazing Spider-Man #1. All right, so Kraven for the first time, a lot of green on his vest. You don't see that a lot later on. So a rare unmasked villain for Spidey to face, but he's still fearsome with this lion vest coming straight at you. All right, but in his debut, everybody knows his name. He's like a big time celebrity. There he is. It's Kraven, and he shows off by fighting cobras and gorillas, putting on a show, and then he proclaims that he's gonna target Spider-Man next, collaborating with his half-brother, the Chameleon. He's mixing drinks. He got potions on deck. He doesn't have powers, but he's got potions. So doing battle, finding Spider-Man, and being able to match him, more or less. They confront each other later on. The collaboration with Chameleon gets found out. Interesting stuff, though, and gets netted up his damn self by the webs of Spider-Man. Chameleon getting arrested by the end. Interesting debut for Kraven in this one, and great way to get another villain involved as well. Unforgettable villain. Yeah. All right, we're going to move on to number 11. This is The Absorbing Man, who first appears in Journey into Mystery 114. Okay, and this one happens in January of 1965. Jack Kirby, once again, this is a titanic battle that you're looking at right here. It's a bit undercut by all the unnecessary text in the left side, or top left of the cover here. The stronger I am, the sooner I die. Looks like a pretty even matchup. And Absorbing Man with the stereotypical prison pants and the ball and chain as well. All right, beautiful, beautiful cover though. And Loki, in his wisdom, always messing around, decides to imbue a regular Joe Blow with Asgardian power, and he selects inmate Crusher Creel, who he calls a brutal savage, consumed with hatred for society. All right, and as he drinks this concoction, he realizes that he has now incredible power. And as the cops, or the prison guards, shoot him, the bullets actually turn his body into steel. And anything you throw at him, he can absorb it all, as Thor finds out. Surprising to find a mortal who's able to do that. The Absorbing Man does battle with the Avengers. He does battle with the Hulk. It doesn't matter. He fears no one. All right. Great villain. He fights with the Masters of Evil later on. He has no fear whatsoever. Not a lot of brains though, but he's no joke. He's got a pretty hot girlfriend too. All right. Now the next one on the list. This is the High Evolutionary. I don't know if maybe this is a bit of a left field pick as well, but he debuts in Mighty Thor 134. The people breeders. And the mysterious figure inside this infernal machine is Herbert Wyndham, the High Evolutionary. All right, and this incredibly intriguing cover, I feel, is a bit undercut by the text at the bottom about the guest starring Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. Unnecessary. Take it off. But Thor is being held back by these shadowy henchmen here, as it looks like there's a figure, almost looks like Han Solo in carbonite. But this is, a fascinating cover that makes you wonder what is going on. What's a people breeder? All right, but that is speaking on the High Evolutionary himself, who does all kinds of genetic experiments. Okay, fusing animals with humans and so on and so forth. All right, and he's disturbed by the presence of Thor, interrupting his scientific pursuits. Okay, Wundagore Mountain, the home of the High Evolutionary. A very unique villain with different than usual motivations. And of course, he comes into conflict with not just Thor, but many other heroes later on. He's a big-time villain. Yeah, he appears in the Guardians of the Galaxy films as well. Yeah. All right. And the next one on the list, man, we're in the top 10 now. This is the Green Goblin. Okay. And this is Amazing Spider-Man 14, going all the way back to April of '64. Ditko once again. This is a chaotic cover. There's way too much going on, way too much text. The Green Goblin is here, of course, close to the foreground, but there's also the Enforcers all the way in the back, as well as the Hulk appearing in the bottom right. By the way, do y'all notice the Green Goblin's glider? Looks a little odd. There's nothing under his feet here. I think something happened that was lost in translation. Big mistake. So I give thumbs down for this cover. Sorry, Steve Ditko. I'm very sorry. If that's sacrilege, I apologize. Yeah, but the mystery of the Goblin starts from day one. This incredible panel here shows the Goblin in shadow here as his mask hangs in the foreground. Yeah, and he tries to start his criminal career by taking over the Enforcers, becoming the leader of this little club of thugs. All right, and somehow his scheme involves movie making. All right, he wants to make a movie involving Spider-Man, which involves Spider-Man getting sucker punched. All right, and during this battle, they end up in a cavern that coincidentally is a hideout for the Hulk. So Spider-Man has to fight the Hulk for a little bit, not to mention Green Goblin as well. So, man, there's a lot going on in this issue. Odd debut, but establishing the mystery of the Goblin from day one. I think that was a wise move. And the mask, the way the mask is drawn on the inside is fantastic. Yeah. All right. And of course, in the movies, we see him portrayed by Willem Dafoe. And the mystery of the Goblin transfers on to Norman Osborn's son, Harry. Norman Osborn dying, but eventually getting better, all right, and coming back to life decades later in what I think is one of the biggest mistakes in comics history. All right, but I digress. All right, the next person that we're going to talk about is not a person, it's Ultron. And he debuts in Avengers 54, the new Masters of Evil. Where's Ultron? Yes, he doesn't appear on this cover, but instead we have the Melter, Whirlwind, Claw, and the Radioactive Man. This is actually a pretty hard-hitting group, as the Black Knight crashes through the window in the background. All right, now the Masters are led by the mysterious Crimson Cowl, who later on is revealed to be a robot, that being Ultron. In fact, it's Ultron 5. Ultron 5. The debut of him appearing on a cover is Mighty Avengers 67. And this memorable cover shows the power of Ultron. All right. And by the way, Ultron began very differently than how he ended up. Not quite as scary looking, that's for sure. But he updates himself more than the iPhone. So you can never get comfortable, and you can never be sure that you've ever really destroyed Ultron, can you? And of course, he's appeared in the film The Avengers Age of Ultron. All right, threatening robot, man, no joke. But yeah, we're back to humanity with number 7 on the list. This is the Juggernaut, and he debuts in X-Men 12. Also featuring the origin of Professor X, which is very relevant to this issue. The mysterious power of the Juggernaut on full display here, as the X-Men are all thrown into disarray. All right, and from day one, or the first page, they gotta ring the alarm. You know, that's a classic reggae song, by the way. The alarm is ringing inside the X-Mansion, and Charles Xavier knows why. It's his long-lost half-brother, or sorry, step-brother, Kane Marco, who was a stereotypical bully. All right, and later on, as they grow older, they join the military in the Korean War, and Kane Marco deserts to hide in some cave, discovering a gem of Sidorak. And as he touches that gem, he becomes a human Juggernaut, and things are never ever the same ever again. But during this debut issue, he crashes through the X-Men's mansion, and they are powerless to stop him. And on the last page, showing his face to his long-lost stepbrother. What a debut for the Juggernaut. And of course, we've seen him in the movies, and we've seen him fight everybody in the Marvel Universe. He's not always a villain, though. But, you know, I think he works better as a bad guy. So sue me. All right. We're going to move on to number 6 on the list. This is Loki, the God of Mischief, who debuts in Journey into Mystery 85. In fact, the Mighty Thor debuted just a few issues before this. This is Thor's third appearance. Okay. And this Jack Kirby cover features Loki standing high above Thor and these other civilians. This sworn enemy of Thor believes that his power is even greater than Thor's. We see how Loki uses his powers of trickery. And he disguises himself as a regular human just so he can surprise Thor. All right, unforgettable villain, of course. He's appeared in the movies. He's had his own TV series. He was also instrumental in the Avengers creation. But yeah, we are now in the top 5, folks, and you might be surprised by this one. And this is the debut of the Kingpin of crime. Spider-Man No More on this classic cover. Now we see the Kingpin debut with his back to us. And we see his influence on the underworld of New York City. And that's the real reason why I put him so high on this list. Higher than some of the other classic Spider-Man villains. All right, he controls the crime in New York City, and we didn't know it. All right, but we see his face eventually. We see how he gets down, business-wise, to those that cross him. All right, but he debuts on the cover of the very next issue, Amazing Spider-Man 51. I recently did a video about Spider-Man covers on the 60s, and this one rated very highly. Yeah, in the clutches of the Kingpin. This is an unforgettable cover. Of course, we've seen Kingpin appear in the MCU, Vincent D'Onofrio, his version, as well as the Michael Clark Duncan version in the old Daredevil film. All right, and he's done battle with Daredevil quite a bit since the 80s. more so than Spider-Man. And that's another reason he's so high on this list. All right, and number 4 on the list is Kang the Conqueror. Alrighty then, and he debuts for the first time in Avengers 8. By the way, even that, there's an asterisk to if he debuts in this issue, and I'll tell you why. Alright, now we see the side profile of Kang and his tennis ball force field, courtesy of Spalding. Alright, it's a busy cover, as are all covers of this era. I just wish you saw more of his face on this classic cover. And the first time the Avengers see Kang on the inside, he's chilling on an invisible beanbag chair with a camcorder out. And look at what Thor says here. I find his confidence disturbing. He seems to have no fear of our power. And the Wasp here saying, I'll bet he's not bad looking under that silly headgear he's wearing. Goddamn, Wasp, what are you talking about? Alright, but Kang actually reveals part of his origin in this debut issue. His convoluted, confusing origin, which starts in the 40th century. And he mentions his other identity of Rama-Tut. And actually, Rama-Tut had debuted before Avengers 8. He debuted in Fantastic Four 19. So maybe this is the first appearance. And then he appears later on as Immortus in Avengers 10, just 2 issues after Kang's first appearance. What confusion. But he is always down to do battle with the Fantastic Four, the Avengers, Hulk, you name it. All right? Name the time. Name the time. All right. Now look, we're now in the top 3. This is like the pantheon, man. And the number 3 pick for the 60s debuts of all time. We're talking Magneto in X-Men number 1, the very first issue. All right. And just like we saw with Kang, Magneto debuts with a side profile. We don't really get a good look at his face. But he's doing battle with all 5 X-Men, and they're calling him Earth's most powerful supervillain. Okay, I don't know what Iceman's snowballs are expected to get done, and even Angel with the bazooka. All right, it's not gonna work. That flying trapeze for Beast, no good. Marvel Girl, Jean Grey, you got something to do here. Only you can save the day. But in this issue, and the first time we even see Magneto, he's got a big time scheme involved. He's talking about how the human race doesn't even deserve Earth, and mutants deserve to take over. He sabotages a rocket launch, and look at what he does with particles of dust. He creates this message in the sky saying, surrender the base or I'll take it by force. Magneto, and he signs it. Nice little touch to show his power. All right, and as he takes over the military base here, again showing that these soldiers got nothing for him. So it's up to the X-Men to take down Magneto for the first time. Now, throughout the years, Magneto has kind of changed from being a dastardly, irredeemable villain to having a time in the mid-80s where he was redeemed, in fact. Interesting stuff, but you can't keep a good villain down forever, can you? All right, now we're going on to number 2 on our list, and this is The Coming of Galactus, which occurs in Fantastic Four 48. Now, we don't see Galactus on the cover here, do we? But we got Uatu the Watcher. Hey, he's back. Uatu, shout out, man. All right, and all these civilians, not just the Fantastic Four, looking on in shock and awe. This is a very effective way to display the power of Galactus. But on the interior, we see Galactus appear for the first time on the final panel, wearing green and red, the Christmas tree. uniform. But in the very next issue, he appears on the cover, If This Be Doomsday. And this classic cover also features the Silver Surfer's first cover appearance. This cover is a work of art. I featured this one in my Fantastic 14 covers of the 60s recently. This ranked pretty damn high. Yes. And in this issue, the Watcher, Uatu, who's kind of chubby, having a chat, with Galactus, who is now pantsless. Okay, he's wearing short shorts. Okay, and he doesn't look quite as big anymore, does he? You see that the Thing takes a swipe at him, tries to clobber him. Okay, and even Mr. Fantastic hits him like a cannonball or like a cue ball on a pool table. Okay, rocking his world. All right. But I gotta say, man, he brought a different level of threat to the Marvel Universe, a planet eater. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are on to numero uno on the list. Our number one villain, who could it be now? You know who it is. We're gonna meet Dr. Doom for the first time. And this happened in Fantastic Four number 5. And on this classic cover here, of course, Jack Kirby and Joe Sinnott. A lot of word bubbles here, though. Dr. Doom on a screen here, all in green, which is a mistake, but I guess it also helps to contrast him with the look of the Fantastic Four. All right, and in this issue, from Jump Street, man, from day one, we see the villainous Dr. Doom. He's got figurines in the shape of the Fantastic Four. He's got books on demons, science, and sorcery. He's even got a turkey vulture hanging out with him. And by the way, if any of you people, and you jive turkeys, if you got a problem with this list and the rankings, man, go fluff your feathers, okay? What can I tell you? Yeah. But anyways, this debut of Dr. Doom, we see he's got the Doom Copter, which he flies to New York, and he ropes up, or he nets, the Fantastic Four's Baxter building. All right. And the origin of Dr. Doom is revealed as Mr. Fantastic Reed Richards remembers Victor Von Doom. You see in this issue, he decides to kidnap Sue Storm and fly her to his castle in Latveria. Okay, his fortress. Okay, and you can see he's even got a pet tiger, man. All right. His first scheme, he shoots for the stars, man. He's got an actual time travel device, and he wants to send the Fantastic Four back to the time of Blackbeard to get his treasure. Wow, what a plan. So as he sends them back, they've got to disguise the Thing, so they make him look all like a pirate here, making him look like Blackbeard. All right, interesting stuff. But by the end of it, Dr. Doom is not so easily defeated. Even though his fortress is burning, he has a jetpack, and he saves himself. All right, but he is the premier villain in the Marvel Universe, and maybe in comics in general. He is the picture of supervillainy, ladies and gentlemen. Oh man, let me tell you something. The 1960s were a breeding ground of villainy, of miscreants, of evildoers. Plenty of evil was afoot in this era. Man, there were so many other villains that I wanted to include, and I just had to make some executive decisions and decide, you know what, maybe there's enough legs here for a part 2, maybe. I don't know. But let me tell you something, whoever you think by the way, I'm showing a chronological rundown of the appearances of the villains that appeared in this video. Maybe I'll be back with another one, who knows. You know what, the Watchers, man, Uatu in particular, as long as I'm just talking villainy and I'm not actually interfering and doing it, they're all cool with it. The watchers are cool with it. And by the way, he was featured a few times in this video. So that's my homie right there, man. Home Slice Uatu. That's my homie, man. So anyways, let me tell you something. This is the Pop Culture Cosmonaut. And you're gonna like, comment, and subscribe. And rule. But rule with justice. Long live the retro comics revolution.